Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with this week's episode of the FNM Spotlight. This is going to be a standard spotlight. I'm going to be running a new version of Blazing Abomination. Don't know how well it's going to work because it's had zero testing. So I just brewed this just in the last few minutes. It started off with a lot more of the sacrifice type effects, but I've narrowed it down a lot to have a lot more control aspect to it to try to get to the late game, and then just use the value-based cards like the Smothering Abomination to get a ton of card draw. So again, I don't know if we have quite the finishers here. The finishers are just going to be Kalitas and From Under the Floorboards, as well as just some value cards like Pia and Kiran Nalaar, maybe Hangarback Walker. But let's just go down the deck list. We're running 24 lands, a 1 of Westvale Abbey, and a 2 of Spawning Beds, because just Spawning Beds are another way to put in some creatures and then have the ability to sack them with either the Blazing Hellhounds or just for mana, and hopefully through the Smothering Abomination we can get some card advantage. So let's just sort this by converted mana cost so you can see the converted mana cost. I've tried to go a full playset of Insolent Neonates because they are pretty good in the deck. They're just a free card. This card is the definition of free. It sacrifices itself to draw a card. It can chump block, so it's going to get us there to the late game. Probably better than any other card. I thought about like Shambling Goblin, but I think that just the Insolent Neonate just does a lot better. Plus, I really am interested to see how well Insolent Neonate works with the From Under the Floorboards. I think it's like the best enabler. I actually want to make a deck that is probably a bunch of these Insolent Neonates and From Under the Floorboards, full playset of both. I thought about the best place for that, though, is a 4 of Jace. I have a 4 of Jace version. It's really, really close just to the Grixis control. Let's just look at it really quickly. What did I call it? I was messing around. This From Under the Floorboards, but of course this can require 4 of Jaces, and you can see I only have 1 Insolent Neonate in this build, but this card is so underrated. Every time I've played it in the format, it is just a powerhouse. The ability to put out 6 power and toughness and gain 3 life almost feels like a Thragtusk to me. Yes, it can get wiped quite easily. This is very susceptible to the Declaration in Stone, but I think where this card shines is instant speed, and the best way again would be Jace and Insolent Neonate. So I'm going to try to build a deck completely around From Under the Floorboards, and this is what I've come up with right now. Just put it in the Grixis control shell, but of course I can't test this with $40 Jaces. That's actually kind of nice that they're down to 40 tickets. They were up to 90 at one point, but anyway, this will be a brew for another day. Hopefully I can get the funding to actually play this deck and see how well it does. Still can't stand a card that costs 40 bucks a piece in this deck. There's some Chandras in this deck too, so it's quite expensive. Anyway, let's go back over to the Blazing Abomination deck and look at the rest of the deck. So I'm running a 1 of Lightning Axe just as another way to enable the From Under the Floorboards. Again, maybe I should go 2 copies of From Under the Floorboards in here. I don't know. What should we cut? I think that I do want 2 copies of it. I want it to be my finisher. We'll figure something out. Maybe I just move a Fiery Impulse over to the sideboard or a Bone Splinters over to the sideboard, and then we can see what the best. Yeah. So I do want. Let's go on to the 1 of Lightning Axe can do that. 1 of Fire Temper is just some control. I think that between Bone Splinters, Fire Impulse, 2 Grasp of Darknesses, 2 Kolaghan's Command, 2 Fleshbag Marauders, I think we're good to go. We have a 1 of Liliana because it'll be quite easy to flip and get some card advantage out of Liliana. Liliana's another way to get the From Under the Floorboards enabled. We have 2 Pia and Kiran Nalaars, 2 Kalitases, 3 Smothering Abominations, and 2 Blazing Hellhounds. And then the 4 of Hangarback Walkers in the deck. So between the Hangarback Walker and the Carrier Thralls, they want like 5 2-drops to put out, besides just the Zulaport Cutthroat, because these are kind of the later game they help stabilize too. Between Zulaport Cutthroat and Blazing Hellhound and sacrificing like the Hangarback Walker tokens or the Pia and Kiran Nalaar tokens, I think that you can get a lot of. The cool thing about Blazing Hellhound is it can actually shoot down creatures. So I could look for ways to give this guy Death Touch, but I don't even think there's an equipment that gives Death Touch right now, but that would be pretty sweet to put on a Blazing Hellhound. Is there an enchantment? Yeah, I just can't quite think. I think there's a +1/+3 and Death Touch. Let me just check that out real quick, but I think it'd just be bad in this deck, though, to try to put that in. Let's go to Standard to see if we have any Death Touch enchantments. we can give it an until end of turn. That'd be kind of cool. Touch of the Moonglove and Blazing Hellhound would be kind of fun. But again, I just don't quite think that's worth it. Wow, whenever a creature dealt damage by that creature dies, its controller loses 2 life. You know what? We might just try a 1-of Touch of the Moonglove to see how well it works. It can be our pseudo removal, so I can just like cut Bone Splinters possibly. And we still have to lose like a... I don't know. We could easily just lose a token. I'd be okay with it. But I just want that combo to happen, and I'm going to be stubborn and put it in there. So, okay, there's that. There's that has Death Touch. We have the, let's see, Coat with Venom that gives Death Touch too. I just think that the Touch of the Moonglove is much better. And just a 1-of is fine. So we have a Hedron Blade. That's only when it's blocking cards. I thought there was a enchantment. Maybe +1/+3 and Death Touch. Maybe that rotated quite a while ago. But it doesn't look like there's any other thing that gives Death Touch in the format. Yeah, But we will try this Touch of the Moonglove. See, we'll just try a 1-of. So now I want to actually bring in Touch of the Moonglove. Maybe I don't need the Fiery Impulse. I don't know. I still want, like, how bad are we going to lose to humans? Well, that's where I'm going to make the cut, is for a Touch of the Moonglove. Yeah, just on any Hangarback Walker, on any, I just really want to see this Touch of the Moonglove on the Blazing Hellhound happen at least one time. And just because it can shoot down a creature and still do 2 damage, and with the Zulaport Cutthroat, that's 3 damage. Yeah, and it could be just an easy board wipe. Still have to have enough creatures to sacrifice, but... Yeah, so Lightning Axe, Bone Splinters, 2 Grasp of Darknesses. I think that'll be sufficient. So what was the card that I was thinking we needed to put more of in here? I don't know. I think this will do fine. So then we have, again, the Smothering Abomination is the card draw. Kalitas is just the card that is such a roadblock for the early aggressive base decks. I have another Kolaghan's Command and 2 of Goblin Dark-Dwellers in the sideboard. You bring the Goblin Dark-Dwellers when a Kolaghan's Command and Self-Inflicted Wounds come in. It just gives you more value versus those type of decks. And then a 1-of Fire Conclusion in the sideboard. I'm not quite sure we need this card. It is another instant speed. You have to sack a creature that'll do 5 damage. We only bring this in versus, like, Archangel Avacyn would be a card that we need to kill. Anything with 5 toughness that we have to kill, I think we could bring this in. Possibly a Roast is just better, though. It's just another way to sack a creature, though. Maybe I'm just too obsessed with sacking creatures, or maybe Liliana needs to be a higher count for that. If we are going to be going into the sacking. So again, we're going to try to fit another from under the floorboards for sure in the deck now that we have a few more ways to interact with the discard through Liliana, through even Kolaghan's Command make us discard our own card. That just seems terrible though. But we do have Liliana, we do have a Lightning Axe, and we do have a Call the Bloodline. So yeah, I guess that just keeping the 1-of is sufficient. The Insolent Neonates, though, just have synergy with everything in the deck and just a free card. It's really good with even Kolaghan's Command, giving you a target for it. So, what Minister of Pain, I think that's what we'll do. I'm just going to take out this Minister of Pain. We'll put another from under the floorboards in the sideboard, and we'll bring that against decks that are problematic for... like the mid-range based decks, even aggro from under the floorboard's pretty good against. It gives you a lot of fodder for the Blazing Hellhound and the Smothering Abomination, and even through Kalitas you can actually sack it. Also with our 1-of Westvale Abbey, that's not bad. So I'm thinking that this deck is going to perform quite well. Again, it might need to be in the removal. We may need more removal, but we have the Self-Inflicted Wounds in the sideboard, which I think are pretty good versus any sort of the green base or white base creature based decks, because it can do damage, and we can easily turn gears with this deck and be the damage producing deck. So anyway, I'll let you know how well it goes. I'm playing 1 standard and 1 modern today. I think I'm just going to sleeve up the Scred Red. I'm actually thinking about trying Ember. What is the monstrous guy that makes people sack lands in the Scred? Instead of Pia and Kiran Nalaar, one of those slots. It's a 4/5 for 4 mana, seems pretty good. It dodges Abrupt Decay, it dodges Lightning Bolt, which is phenomenally good in standard, and also can block 4/5 Tarmogoyfs. It can also block anything out of Zoo and survive. And then just against control, having the ability to Monstrous the and make them sack 3 lands, I think is going to be huge. With Scred, you don't really need the lands the version I'll run is using more Cold Steel Heart. So anyway, I'll talk about that in a different video. But let me know in the comment section below what you think about this deck, what I might be missing out of the deck. I still want some action with Kolaghan's Command before it rotates. Kolaghan's Command Goblin Dark-Dwellers is one of my favorite combos in all of Standard at the moment, and just getting some shenanigans through Goblin Dark-Dwellers with Eldrazi's Displacer is really fun. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the Captain's Claw. The Captain's Claw just seems to have really good synergy with the Insolent Neonate as well. Evasive guy that can then put out 1/1 core ally tokens that you can sack. I think that's pretty good. Last thing I think I'd splash for is maybe white for a Sorin, but I don't think it's needed. I think that we're just going to go this route of just getting value-based cards and see if it has any game versus like the traditional collected company versions of the deck. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deck list. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.
Hey!